Hello YouTube, this is Annihilation. I am back, and hopefully you can tell there has been some changes, namely the camera. We've upgraded to 1080p, so this should be in higher definition than it was before. Hopefully that'll also help with some of the details on the models, so I can show you guys when I'm painting and things like that. There is other news. I got myself one of these as promised, specifically because I also got myself one of these, as I said, the Scorpion MkII super heavy grav tank. So that is exciting. Along with the airbrush, I did go to my local Games Workshop shop, which in Tokyo there are 4, which is not that many considering it's a city of several million people. But I did end up buying some of these made for airbrush paints that they have. I read some reviews on them and they seem to be mixed. As with most Games Workshop stuff, it's expensive, and quite a lot of people pointed out, listen, this is a basically lower opacity, more watery paint that you pay the same amount of money for as all the other paints, which seems weird. But it basically saves you the hassle of having to mix your own paints, the colors not matching to the other colors from the range of the Games Workshop paints. So I bought 5 of these and we're gonna give that a try. So that's exciting. I think it's exciting. As far as getting the paint out of the bottles, which was another thing people mentioned on the reviews, I got one of these, and before we all say what we're all thinking, no, I'm not a drug addict. This is a syringe from what we call the 100 yen store, which you might recognize as a dollar store. This was literally $1, or whatever the equivalent number of yen is, and right now it's quite a few, it's like 112 or something. But this will simply be used to transfer, frankly, fairly small amounts of paints from the little bottles to the airbrush basin, I guess you could call it. So this goes in there, and done deal. I don't know if that'll work well. I haven't used this thing at all yet. Summer is the busy season for work, so I'm a little bit behind on where I'd like to be. But I'll get back to you on if that works or not. Hopefully I'll be able to show you if that works or not with this new camera setup. It came standard with a little tripod, so I might be able to just put it next to the models I'm working on and give you guys a close-up. Other news? Not really. I'm slightly worried about this grav tank. The release agent for the resin to come out of the mold. It says to brush it off with a detergent, a grease-cutting detergent, and a toothbrush. I brushed the crap out of this thing twice, and I can still see and to some extent feel a sort of, I wouldn't say oily, but some sort of texture that looks like it certainly was some sort of liquid, which will not come off no matter how hard you brush it or how much detergent you use. Hopefully you can just prime over that and there's no problem. Again, I haven't decided if I'm going to use a spray can primer, the same ones I used for my Swarmlord and Urak Megaboss, or if I'm going to try and airbrush the base coat on to get my teeth wet with the airbrush. But I assume that will be decided for me at some point, because I can't really take a spray can outside at the moment. The humidity is about 80% in Tokyo. It's about 35 degrees Celsius, which is in Fahrenheit a lot. I think 90s. It is not great spray can weather, let's be honest. Which means I have to do it in the house. Spray canning in the house, no bueno. So basically I might have to airbrush it, which means I have to do some more research on how to do primer through an airbrush. And even then I have very little time in the upcoming weeks. That being said, I do want to do some things. I want to keep the excitement level up. I want to keep you guys coming back for more videos. I don't want to be one of those channels with one upload every month. So there's that, and then of course at some point we have to talk about the color scheme for this giant graph tank looking thing. The Craft World's colors are quite bold. Some of the main ones are blue and yellow, red and white. There is a black and cream one, which is cool, but not really what I'm going for. And I haven't decided on a pattern yet. I'll likely do some masking and some patterns with that, but the visual striking aspect of this tank is its sleek, long profile, and I really don't want to break that up too much. Some of the paint jobs on the internet break up that profile, and I'm not sure I want to do that. And then finally, as far as sub-assemblies goes, like you can't paint this thing all at once. That would just be silly, especially with an airbrush. Thankfully, the turret comes off very easily. The turret simply lifts up, spins around on a pin right there, which is quite cool. Obviously, the barrels come out, which is necessary because right now they're not properly lining up. And I might well paint them a different color altogether. The axial turret removes completely and has several weapon options, so I'll probably end up painting all of those weapon options to allow myself to switch them out easily. The one thing I did glue together was this piece, this back plate, simply glued on there. Since that's part of the main body, that will be spray painted in the same go as everything else. What I did not do is I did not glue on the thrusters, which go on the bottom, and they have these little whatever you want to call these turnable sticks, and the fins go on those, and the fin, you can alter the fin angle, which is kind of cool. Like I was thinking of going kind of low on them. Looks very aggressive. And then there are a bunch of extraneous parts, little side thrusters. There's 6 of these in total. There is some sort of either weapon or sensor array that goes in the bottom front of the tank, just under the cockpit. Should go somewhere here, I believe, but I'll check on that for you guys. And then there are the pilots, which I honestly have no idea why these come in 2 parts, but that is the pilot, and I guess these are his arms that are attached to a console, and the legs are already in the seats. They're not loose. I'm not sure why they did this. Perhaps so you can take them out and paint them more easily, but yeah, so I have 2 of those guys to paint. One is the pilot, the other one is the gunner. That is going to be very interesting because that is a level of detail that I've never attempted before. Other news? Not really. The compressor I bought for the airbrush came as a set. It was inexpensive. This is not a high-end airbrush. It's not a high-end compressor. It is for hobby use. It's small. It's not what I would call a toy store level quality, but it's not a high-end professional one, which I thought was a bit overkill. The price jump up from this one, which was about $150, to the next one was $450, and I decided that was a bridge too far even for me. And as you can tell, I am not stingy. Like, I'm happy to splurge on this. This hobby is less expensive than people think it is. The startup costs are quite high if you want to do it right, I would say. If you want to start doing vehicles and airbrushing, to some extent you have limited options in terms of saving money. But you don't have to go anywhere. Save on gas, save on transportation costs, unless you're schlepping to the Games Workshop place or wherever you play the actual game, which, like I said, I won't be doing, at least not any time in the near future. Can you just imagine, like, I show up with my Eldar army and it's just the super heavy graph tank? That's the only model I have, so yeah, no. No, I don't think it's an expensive hobby. Cheaper than drugs, cheaper than whoring, cheaper than golf, cheaper even than airsofting. I mean, a day of airsofting for me is easily $120 a day. there's no way this is costing me $120 a day, even if I take all the money I've spent so far and divide it over the few weeks I've been active. So no, I don't think it's too expensive. Although you can go crazy on Forge World, let's be honest, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you did. The biggest titans there, I think, are 16 or 1,500 pounds, British pounds, which is, you know, motorcycle money basically, or a really good night with a pretty girl. If you're underage and watching this, ignore that. It is very exciting. Like, I'm really excited to have an airbrush again. I'm really excited to be doing this modeling stuff again. I'm really excited to make mistakes. I'm really excited to improve techniques or try techniques I've never tried before. The wet blending on the base coat on the extraneous Swarmlord weapons, for example. I'm going to do some non-metallic metallics. I saw some videos on that. That looks like a lot of fun. There's some expressionism in there, using colors you wouldn't otherwise imagine, which is kind of fun. And I'm also excited to just finish one of these. Like, I haven't done much with Mega Boss, which I thought was going to be my first project, but it looks like it'll be my second or third. The Swarmlord will probably be my first. There too, I'm hoping to use the airbrush for the membranes of the wings and things like that. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. I went to Tabletop Minions and I watched basically all the man's videos. Thanks, Adam. One of them is about buying stuff on eBay, and he references that several times afterwards. So I had a look. eBay has a phone app now. And yeah, so I bought some stuff on eBay. I won 2 out of the 4 auctions I bid on. Quite inexpensive. These items are also coming from the UK and the US, so there will be a wait time involved. But I'm very excited about that as well, because I got cheaper models than I otherwise would have done, which means I can screw them up, which is a real possibility, and then try again. So the fact that that is available at all is really great. I'm old enough to remember life without the internet, the dark ages, as you might call them. That was not great. So things like YouTube tutorials for painting and modeling and eBay to buy cheap models, kids don't know how lucky they are these days. That being said, I paid full price for quite a lot of this stuff, so, you know, it's not like it's free hobby, but it's not bad. There will be an update, maybe not this weekend. There are some projects going on at work where I might not make it home, but there will be an update. That update will feature some painting. Whether that's brush painting or airbrushing, I'm not sure yet, but it will feature some painting. It might also feature me dicking around with some markers and doing some color tests for the graph tank. And if you do have input on that, if you like, hey, listen, have you thought about doing it this way or this way, by all means, the comment section is available to you. Avail yourselves. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.